Firstly, I think it's making sure that we've got a staff skill base that's appropriate to the needs of the young people, and Glasgow City Council invest heavily in making sure that the school have got adequate funding to make sure that the staff members are accessing BSL courses at an appropriate level, and it's something that's just an ongoing development for us. It's something that never stops. We had it as a strand of our improvement plan, that constantly that we're looking at upskilling people in terms of teacher of the deaf qualifications, as well as also making sure that people have got British Sign Language courses to make sure that they're able to fully deliver the curriculum at an appropriate level for the young people that we have. We've got a range of young people in the senior phase that are working from National 2 right through to higher level in quite a number of different curricular areas as well. So it's important that we've got staff that have got the expertise and the knowledge, and also that are aware of the strategies for working with deaf pupils so that they can support those young people effectively. And we're seeing a benefit in that in terms of increased attainment, as well as deaf young people accessing a range of other opportunities across the school. We're finding now that it used to be in the past that we had deaf pupils would very much focus on themselves as a group, and for example, if there was trips, extracurricular activities, they would go as a cohort. But now we're finding it's much more individualised as well. For example, we've got 2 of the deaf young people that are going to be attending a school visit to Malawi in 2020. I think it's establishing and embedding a culture where for a deaf young person that's perhaps in a school and they're the only deaf young person, it's making sure that they've got the ability to communicate with their peers, whether that be through British Sign Language or people that are aware of strategies for communicating with deaf young people, even those that use speech as well, that people are aware of just simple strategies, for example, such as making sure that there's appropriate lighting, making sure that they're facing them when they're speaking and they're not turning to the board, or for their friends, if they're doing group work, that people are actually able to manage that in an appropriate way. But for us, I think as well, one of the big drives we've had is making sure that as many people as possible are able to communicate even at a simple level with the deaf young people. And it could be something that they're saying, if they've got enough awareness, even just to say, hello, how are you, when they come into the class. It's a small thing, but it's an important thing that everybody could have. For us, we had a set programme within one of the in-service days that every member of staff across the school had some input with BSL. It has kind of flourished and it's grown. It used to be that we had the main focus making sure that the staff that are working directly with the deaf young people were gaining qualifications in British Sign Language, but for us now it's grown much further than that. We've got a class after school on a Monday, and there's colleagues from all across the school that are attending those classes as well and that are interested in gaining qualifications for BSL as well. It does make it much more inclusive, and they've got much more of a direct relationship with the deaf young people, rather than working through perhaps a communication support worker or a teacher of the deaf. If the member of staff is able to even have a basic conversation about what you're doing at the weekend, it does cement those relationships between the mainstream teacher and also the deaf pupil, much more readily. So I think that's been one of our big kind of successes over recent years. I think the most effective and the most simple method of communication we have is that we pass on his mobile phone number, and that way there's no delay, there's no waiting on interpreters or any difficulty or other barriers. You get quick, fluent communication, and that happens daily with some parents as well. But it's thinking of how can we give them the same opportunities as hearing parents, and a hearing parent would maybe pick up the phone, but for deaf parents, the fact that they've maybe got a key member of staff and they've got a mobile phone number for them, and it's just making sure that they can text back and forth. For other statutory meetings, it may well be that they book in an interpreter for those meetings, and parents have the right to request that. For us, sometimes parents actually prefer, on most occasions, actually just have direct contact with a member of staff that can communicate clearly with them, and it tends to be that face-to-face contact as well, helps to build up a relationship. So very much it does depend on the individual parent as well, just on what we would use to support them.